Hello friends, I am Chevee. Welcome to my shed. How are you today? How's life in your world? How's things where you are? I hope everything is good and great and wonderful. Everything here is fine, and I had a weekend with the girls this past weekend and did some fun activities. We went swimming and we hung out and had ice cream and, you know, all that good stuff. But my oldest, she did a linoleum block carving in school, and she really liked it, and she wanted to get some more linoleum, and she was concerned about prices and all that stuff. So I found some linoleum on Amazon pretty inexpensively, and I just bought us a bunch, and I mounted it myself to some plywood, and she did a cut, and I said, well, now I have to do one. So this weekend I got to do some more block printing, only this time I printed, I carved linoleum instead of wood. In the past, you may or may not remember this, but in the past I have done a coffee carving, and then this one's kind of hard to see on camera, it just looks black, but it's a raven sitting on a tree branch. These were done in cherry, more of a traditional material, like traditional Japanese printmaking material. This is linoleum, and this is like standard cork linoleum. From what I understand, traditional linoleum is just cork, almost dust, and shellac, just like finishing shellac, but it turns it into this durable material that's really easy to carve. This is not what she used in school. I think they used like a made for carving linoleum, but this is a more traditional linoleum, and so I gave it a shot. And carving it, for one, I just used my normal, this is the flex cut carving tools that I got from one of you. I think Chris sent these to me, and these work beautifully in wood, but oh my goodness, is it amazing in linoleum. The thing I didn't really think about in the wood, even in cherry, which is pretty tight grained, when you're going through the grain, you're basically cutting through the rings of the tree, and they vary in density. So you'll, like, your tool might skip because you hit a soft spot and you're putting pressure because you're trying to get through a hard spot. Whereas cutting through this linoleum, it's just constant pressure. There's no like jumpiness. I didn't blow through any of these lines, and there's some very intricate, delicate lines in here what I don't know that I could pull off in wood. I mean, I think I can with more practice. I just need to get used to the tool wanting to jump in the wood. That being said, the linoleum posed a couple of new challenges. So printing it was fine. I rolled some ink on and I pressed it and I got some printings, you know. There's one that's, I actually really like the lighter, like not finished look of this. It's not super dark, and I got a couple like that, and I think near the bottom of the stack I got a couple that are really dark and printed very well. The challenge that I found is, because linoleum is not stiff, it's got some flex to it. The more pressure you put, the more it kind of gives, and it muddies the print up a little bit. If the first print that I did was this one, and I'll try to put a picture, but I got, number one, I had too much ink on my roller, which is something I'm trying to learn. And number two, I think I just tried too hard, and it just made it kind of goo, because pressure on the linoleum makes it kind of buckle a little bit. But as I went along, you know, near the end, I started getting really clean prints that were also very dark and looked very cool and captured a lot of the finer details that I had put into it. I did all of this with this custom printing block that I made that just goes in my drill press. I made this probably a few months ago, and I've never used it. This is the first time we used it. It worked okay. The problem with it is this bolt just through this 3/4 inch piece of plywood, it has a whole lot of flex. So when we're pulling on the handle, this thing rocks, which means uneven pressure. So what we ended up having to do was pull, turn the print, pull, you know, move the print, pull, like 4 or 5 times with the lever of the drill press in order to get a good, clean, even print. But that's okay. Like, what I learned near the end here was very little ink on the roller, very little ink on the print, and then I can press all day long and it's not going to get that oozy, you know, mess on the page, which turned out pretty cool. So this needs modified. I think either I need to add another layer of 3/4 inch plywood to stiffen this whole top piece up, or the ultimate thing to do would be to take off these riser blocks, take this off completely, and get a piece of metal with a stud welded to it, something that can't really flex, and make that the base of this. But I didn't have any metal on hand. I just made this real quick to test it. As a test, it worked out okay. I also made a simple little registration jig while I was doing this, so all I have to do is put my print in there, and then when I've got my paper, I line it up with the tape and just let it fall, and then go over to my press and press. Worked out beautifully. I mean, all in all, I got probably, I don't know, there's maybe 8 or 10 prints here that I'm happy with. There's some, you know, my oldest Roland really likes this darker look. This was on watercolor paper. I think it's too much ink. It didn't turn out the way that I wanted it. Personally, I really like this faded one. I think it's my favorite. But I do, you know, think some of the darker ones that still show the detail are also really nice. So I have a few. If you want one, let me know. I'll send it to you. I still have other prints that nobody ever asked for. I think I've got to mail out a couple. I had a few people ask for one of those prints. So if you want any of the prints that I've done, you know, the feather or whatever, just let me know. Send me an email and a shipping address, and I'll send them out to you. I'll do whatever, sign it or whatever. But I did a video, and I think some of you saw that I put a video out on it yesterday. I had Roland just took my camera phone and just filmed a whole print, and it was 1 minute. So it takes me 1 minute to press one of these once I have everything set up and going, which isn't bad, you know. And I probably will print more of this to practice. This was with watercolor ink. I also have a small tube of Speedball's professional oil based, which I've never tried. I'm interested to try it, so I'm going to try it next, I think. So I am going to run more of these, and I'm going to try to get, I would like to have, like, I don't know, maybe 10 or 15 of them that I could put on my web store or something. So if you want to support me, you could pay $5 and buy one or whatever. Don't, you know, pay as much as you want, kind of thing. That way, you know, I have a little something I can say, hey, I made this, and if you're interested in having, you know, something made by me or whatever, there's a place to go. But I don't want to turn this into a business, you know. It's just something I did for fun. And this is honestly the first art that I've done since lockdown. Like I don't know if you noticed, but I haven't drawn or really done anything artistic since lockdown started. So this was the first art project, and I had a blast with it. So, and the carving, I mean, as intricate as this is, it's maybe an hour and a half of my time carving this. It's not really that much. And this was a drawing that I did back in March or February. So, this is a good material. I plan on doing some more. I have to figure out what I'm going to carve next. So that's all I have for you today. Thank you for being here as always. Thank you for liking and commenting and subscribing and being amazing friends and wonderful people. I really appreciate you, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Today's word you should know to sound smart is bucolic. It is an adjective meaning a peaceful, serene, rural object, place, or environment. We bought a weekend place in a bucolic little village in the country. Bucolic. B-U-C-O-L-I-C.